Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Halloween and happy Saturday here, October 31st. Hope everybody's got some wonderful plans for this evening with the kids. Um, I always hate to see Halloween kind of getting smaller and smaller with more and more people barricading the door, turning the lights off, and pretending they're not home or going out. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to this Hangout on the Google Plus comment section, and so anybody can join. Just please keep it civil. Hang on a second. All right, there we are. Let's see if that works. It did. Yay. Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that. So good morning, everybody. Saturday. I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about this morning. I'm hoping to be some people on, although I've noticed, I think the first thing we should talk about, or I'd like to talk about, is what the hell happened with Google Plus Hangouts? It seems to me, I mean, I've been away for maybe 6, 7 months. And in that time, the number of Hangouts seems to have shrunk to almost nothing. It used to be that on almost any weeknight, you could go out there and there was a competition for Hangouts. There were 2, 3, sometimes 4 really good Hangouts going simultaneously, and people would be popping around back and forth listening to all their favorite speakers. This past week, I don't. I found one all week long that had a Hangout that was open to people, and that was pretty fun. Anyway, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe is there some other? I'm not up on all the social media. Maybe there's some other platform that everybody else has bailed to because it's better. If so, guys, don't leave me behind. Somebody, throw me a lifeline here. Let me know where that is. Uh, I guess the other option is people just got tired of having these discussions, and everybody got burned out at the same time, which is understandable. It happens, but I hope everybody comes back because there were some really good hangouts in the past. One thing I did notice also that I have mixed feelings about. There seems to be a growing number of theist-based hangouts where there is this sort of disclaimer in the first comment that has the link that says basically, please don't come in unless you agree with us. Right? The Sin City Preacher it comes to mind immediately because he has the longest disclaimer, right? I mean, he goes through all the doctrinal points, and you have to agree with this one and this one and this one and this one and that one and that one and these and those, and you can't be one of this and you can't be one of those, and so forth and so on. And so, yeah, he's not the only one though. There are others that I've seen that are like that. I said I have mixed feelings because I suppose on one hand, I mean, it's your hangout, you make it be whatever you want. But if you're gonna make it private and you don't want people to come in, then it would seem that you would make it a private hangout. Just send out invitations to who you want and not post the link. It seems to me a bit, I don't know, over the top to kind of post the link and then make people read a doctrinal statement or a letter before they can come into the hangout. But it's yours, so I guess do what you want. Um, I do think though that there's I want to be careful here because not everybody probably does this. It's one thing if you want to make a hangout where, for example, you want to talk about a particular subject and you don't want people coming in to disrupt you. You want to make a presentation and be done with it. But it seems like more and more that's not what these are used for. And I may be presuming a little bit too much here, but it seems that they're being used not for presentation so much as it is that people want to create an echo chamber. They want to talk about whatever it is they want to talk about, and they don't want any contrary opinions in the room. And again, while you have a right to do that, that seems, at least to me, to sort of be counter to the spirit of Google Hangouts or social media, which is to get people of different views, different ideas together so that they can talk and discuss and so forth and so on. But anyway, uh, things that grind my gears. That was it. Yeah. excuse me, Family Guy's episode. That's kind of what this is a little bit about. So that's one. That's one of the things that kind of just it gets to me, because I think there are a lot of people out there that have a lot of great ideas, and if you're not interested in hearing anybody else's ideas, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me anyway, to kind of get on social media then and say, hi, here I am, everybody. By the way, stay out. Let's see, what else has been going on? I sat in on a few theist hangouts this week. It depends on my mood, kind of how I do that. But on these particular ones, I just kind of sat quietly and just listened to whatever it was they were talking about, and didn't chime in. Yeah, eventually they do say. Usually, somebody will say, "Hey, Carlton, hi," and I'll say hi. But unless they specifically ask me if I'm a Christian, sometimes I don't volunteer any information. I just sit there quietly and politely and listen. I guess I do that. I don't expect that what they're saying has changed from everybody else, what all the other theists are saying. It never has in 60 years. It's always the same set of stories. But it's always. I want to say. I was going to say nice to hear, but it really isn't nice to hear. It's a bit depressing to listen to some people talk, and not that I disagree with them or they disagree with me, but it's depressing to hear people say things that clearly just you're not making sense. Even if I'm a theist, you're not making sense. Okay, sometimes these conversations just become so bizarre that I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't care what side you're on. You're not. You need to fix some stuff there. It's just kind of depressing. But anyway, there's that. Oh, let's see. What else we got? Seems rather quiet out there. Let's see if I got any comments. Is anybody even watching? Nope. See, this is what I mean. This was never like this on Google before. All right. Oh yeah, okay. We might as well deal with this. Okay, yeah. Every now and then, I'll go into a theist hangout. It's always a theist hangout. Sorry, just is. Oh, Halloween is an evil word. Halloween is, of the devil, and Halloween. And I'm just talking about the word here. Okay, I mean, I'm not talking about the actual celebration. I'm just talking about the word. I've had people rag on me. Halloween is an evil word. Don't you know what Halloween means? Well, you know what? I got news for you guys. Halloween means whatever it is I decide that it means for me. I'm not obligated to hold on to some Middle Age English or prior to that Celtic version of what they meant when they said, well, Halloween is actually a rather new word anyway, right? Because it was All Hallows Eve before that. It was Samhain before that. It was, the words changed over the centuries anyway. But this notion that a word can be evil, I'm like, no, it is what it is. Get over it. And the holiday is whatever it is I celebrate. The fact that somebody in generations past celebrated something different, I don't know that Halloween was ever about devil worship or anything like that. But even if it was, that doesn't mean that's what I'm celebrating. All right. Sorry, guys. Holidays change all the time. The fact that we use the same date, I mean, Christianity co-opted December 25th. Are they obligated now to be forever seen? Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses would tell you are. They would tell you, yes, that's evil because that used to be some other holiday. But realistically, come on, give it a break. I had a guy the other night. I used to have a different avatar. And the avatar that I chose for a while was from a TV series called Divergent. Okay. And without going into too much detail, I don't want to, if no one's ever seen the series, it's a futuristic set, kind of a post-apocalyptic, but they're in a walled city. Oh, wait a minute. Am I thinking of the right one? No, I'm thinking of never scratch that. I'm thinking of a different movie. Okay. But it is kind of a future set, post-apocalyptic. And humanity's sort of been divided up into groups depending on your general personality type. Okay, so we have erudites who are the intellectuals. We have amity, which are the helpful people, and then we have several other groups, right? And then there's sort of this notion that maybe there's this group called divergence, or there are people labeled as divergence because they don't fit in any one of these categories. They're sort of a blend, and they're feared to some extent, at least by the government, because once again, if you can't, just like today, if you can't label something, then we don't know what to expect of it. Therefore, we're afraid of it. Anyway, all that to say, each of these sort of clans had a symbol, okay, that represented their clans, whether it was a farm, house, or, some other, thing. So I chose the one for erudite, because Divergent doesn't have one, and I like them the best. But I chose one for erudite, which was simply a circle, a blue circle, and they always wore blue and blue clothing. A blue circle with an eye in the middle of it. Okay, an eye and an eyeball, an eye. Okay, but it was just a normal eye. There was nothing fancy about it. It was just I'm drawing it here in the air, like you can't see what I'm doing here. Let me draw it over here, right? It was just an eye, right? So. Hey, this guy telling me, oh, that's the eye of Ra, and that's, and he's going on and on and on about this, and what a evil person I must be because I'm using the eye of Ra as my symbol. And I'm like, it's not the eye of Ra. Okay, first of all, go look at the eye of Ra. Okay, it's a very specific drawing, right? It's got that long eyelash down the bottom. It's got, it's not just an eye. It's got other details. Just because you put an eye in a circle doesn't make it the eye of Ra. Okay, clearly this one is not. It's different. It may look similar, but it's not the same thing. It just amazes me that people get so bent out of shape about this. Let's see. Well, I guess there is no one up this morning, so I guess there's not much point in talking very much longer. I did find it interesting. I had a thought the other day, is people that are presuppositionalists, right? People that just sort of, their justification for the idea that God exists is that they just presume that he does, okay? And they feel that that's sufficient, okay? Doesn't require any other justification. They just presume it's true and then go from there without dealing with that at all for the moment. I always find that position seems interesting to me, because it would seem that if you're in that position, then you should be out there with the atheists criticizing all the other theists who are trying to justify the existence of God scientifically, or believe that there's evidence for God. I mean, clearly, if there was good evidence for God's existence, there would be no need to be a presuppositionalist. Am I missing something here? Right? You don't need to presume it's true if there's demonstrable evidence for it being true. Right? It's sort of an either-or category. So it would seem like all the presups should be out there with all the atheists helping us, enlighten the rest of the world. Oh, hey, look. Who's here? Two. Hello, Two. Apparently, Two's not talking yet. Two, you're muted. So anyway, so it seems like the presups should be out there helping, everybody else. Then we come to the Calvinists. I'm just going to kind of roll through my things of the week here, who, again, there seems to be a lack of, it just doesn't make sense. If you're a Calvinist, if you believe that certain people have been elected and that they are going to go to heaven, they have no choice really in the matter. They're going to go. And others are not elected and they can't go. They're never going to go no matter what, right? Then it seems like when you look at the Bible and you look at sort of the expressions of a desire supposedly by God that you should come to him and believe in him, if he's preset the stage so you can't do that for whatever reason, I don't care what the reason is, but if he's preset this so you can't respond, then asking you over and over again is nothing but taunting. It's teasing. That's what teasing is. Right? It's holding the ball of string above the cat higher than it can jump, right? You know he can't get the string, and yet you still put it there and want to make him want it and try for it, even though you've rigged it so he can never jump that high, right? This is just mean-spirited. That's all that is. So for the Calvinists, I find that amazing that, that they can hold those two notions side by side and not feel that there's a conflict there at all. It's not about whether you say God is justified in electing who he wants. That's immaterial. The point is, if he's elected people and other people can't, by design, respond to him, then it's just mean-spirited to tease them with, hey, look, eternal life. Hey, look, I love you. Hey, look, if you believe in me, you won't go to hell. And then off the side to your friend going, yeah, I rigged it so they can't actually accept that offer. I just like dangling it in front of them. I'm like, wow, really? Um, so that's sort of the Calvinists. Now, I think the Armenians, on the other hand, have a different problem entirely. Not that it's any better problem or easier problem, it's just a different one. And that's this notion of free will. And I've been around and around and around on this. People will talk about, a compatibilist notion of free will, which really boils down to, can I make a choice without any external constraints, right? In other words, can I decide whether I'm going to go to the grocery store or not without somebody holding a gun to my head saying, if you don't go, I'm going to blow your brains out? Can I make, that's sort of their notion, that's basically what they mean when they talk about free will. But I don't think that's the definition under which most people who talk about free will in terms of God, anyway, I don't think that's the sense in which they're using it. I think there's this sort of, and I hate to say magical, but it's sort of this magical notion that we can make a choice that is independent of what our brain says to choose. In other words, sort of this notion that your brain could be firing off electrons to say, choose this, and you could still somehow, independent of your brain, go, no, I'm going to choose that. That seems just, with 5 minutes worth of thought, that seems kind of absurd on the surface. All right, the only thoughts we have are the thoughts that we have because someone had, because a neuron or a set of neurons or a group of neurons in our brain has fired. That's where thoughts come from. If you take out your brain, you will have no thoughts. All right, I defy anybody to do that as an experiment and prove me wrong. All right, so take any human being, scrape out their brain and throw it down the sink. Okay, and then tell me if that body that's sitting there in front of you now has a thought. Okay, I'm fairly confident no one's ever going to demonstrate that could happen. So if our thoughts are simply the result of the electrical impulses in our brain, any thought we have, any decision we make, even if we're sitting here and we're going, apple, orange, which one do I want to choose? We could do that all day and then finally say, okay, banana. All right. There's no way that we could choose banana unless the neurons had fired to select banana. Okay, and there's nothing, and if it did, we couldn't choose apple or orange. We do what our brain tells us to do. We are our brain. So when you talk about this notion of free will, well, there is no free will in that sense. It's an illusion only. So with that in mind, then clearly an omnipotent, omniscient God, right, who knows the workings of our brain, assume, because he created it, okay? He's fully aware of what external stimuli will, how external stimuli, I should say, will cause the brain to do one thing or the other, right? He knows, I'll kind of be silly here, but okay, he knows if I happen to see a leaf fall from the tree, I'm going to choose orange. Whereas if that leaf never falls, my brain's going to go apple for whatever bizarre reason, right? Maybe the leaf is orangey colored, and when I see it fall, it reminds me of an orange, and it triggers something in my brain that says, okay, orange. I want an orange. Clearly, God must know all those things. So he knows all the interactions of all the events in the entirety of reality. Well, and if he kicked off this ball rolling, right, one assumes that God doesn't behave chaotically. In other words, if you're a theist, you I think have to presume that everything is under God's control, that nothing happens unless he allows it to happen. So then clearly, if somebody does believe, it indicates that God has allowed or caused to happen a set of events in their environment, in their life, right? I don't know when or where. It might have been a child, you were young. It might have been 5 minutes before they decided to believe. It might have been a combination. It might have been a million things. It might have been one thing. But God was fully aware that the environment, structured as he structured it, was going to cause this person to believe. In other words, he allowed that person to have the experiences that their brain required to make the choice to believe. Well, then clearly he also did the opposite for somebody else. He clearly knows, for me, okay, he knows I don't believe. So, but he knows clearly what it would take in the environment for me to experience so that I would believe. But he clearly has either not allowed that to happen or is not willing to have that happen. All right. So there's no sense in which I have free will, even if you have an omnipotent, omniscient God. All right. Um, Now some people will say, well, so for example, I'll say, well, sure, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll believe. Sure, you want to know what it would take for me to believe? Okay. While I'm looking at my hand, sorry, I do this on the screen. While I'm looking at my hand, I would like to see a sixth finger grow right between these two guys, right? Kind of the Spock thing, right there, right there. I want to see another finger pop up right there in the middle. I'm going to sit here and watch it. If that grows right now, I'll believe. Now, people say, oh, you can't test God, and God can't, God's not going to do that just for you. But clearly, again, that's just backpedaling, because he clearly has allowed whatever it took for somebody else to believe. He's allowed their environment to produce the things that cause them to believe. But he's not going to allow it in my environment? Really? Then then don't talk about free will. It makes no sense. Okay? So you are as equally chosen or not chosen in the Arminian view as you are in the Calvinist view. The only difference is the Calvinists just say God does it outright, sort of as a direct function. Okay, he bypasses everything in the environment, maybe just says, I want you, or I don't want you. Whereas the Armenians think that, this decision is a culmination of a lifetime of experiences. But yes, but God is the one who's allowed or not allowed that certain experiences. So ultimately, he's still controlling what the hell's going on. It really doesn't matter whether he does it directly or he doesn't do it directly. There's no choice either way. So either way, it's kind of silly. All right. Well, Mr. Two here. Mr. Two, you can talk. Apparently not. There goes Mr. Two. All right. You don't talk, you can listen from outside. So anyway, that was just sort of some of my thoughts this week. I'm working on a software project, and my client has just changed how they want to do the database. Instead of having a local database for each user out in the field, right? They sell a commercial application software app. So instead of having a database in the field for all these people, he wants to have a consolidated single database. But it's not a web application, but he wants a single consolidated database that we host. So now I've got 7,000 databases, right? 7,000 clients that I'm now have to restructure and rearrange and come up with a framework for. So that's fun. Okay. Oh boy. So that's what I'm working on this week as well. I got my little gargoyle up there. I don't know if you can see Fred. I just called him Fred. I don't know. He may not really be a Fred, but he was down on the desk before, so I built a little wall mount there and stuck him up a little bit higher on the wall so everybody could see him. I used to have a tennis racket up there, and everybody told me that looks so stupid. And I was like, yeah, I guess it does. So I took the racket down and we put Fred up there instead. And it seems appropriate, especially at Halloween. Oh gosh. Yeah, one last thing I guess I'll mention. Oh, let me make sure I don't have any other Q&A. No Q&A. Nobody's watching me. Oh, wait. What? Yes, hi, Isam. I'm here. Isam Mohammed says, hello, sir. Are you here? Well, no, I'm probably not where you are, but I am here where I am. So, yes. Hello. So anyway, the other piece. What the hell was I going to talk about there? Crud. What the heck was it now? It was an important one too. It was something I wanted to mention today. And you get old and things just leave if you don't. This is I should aside to the aside. My apologies. But sometimes when people are, when I'm in a room, I'm an old guy. When I'm in I do sometimes interrupt people. Um, for those of you that don't know or have never been around people that, as they get older, right? Sometimes our memories are not as strong as they once were when we were young. So when we have a thought or an idea, if we don't express it immediately, we will forget it. So sometimes we interrupt. It's not to be rude. It's not because we don't know what you're saying. Don't want to hear what you're saying. It's simply because we know we want to contribute this thing, but if we don't say something right now, it's going to get lost. So apologies for all the old people that interrupt. Okay, on my behalf. Now let's see what else was there. That really wasn't the thing I wanted to say. Um, Still can't think of what it was. But anyway, probably given up on the cello. I started to take it up. I started to learn, but I have no talent musically. I have no talent. Okay. This is like that movie, White Men Can't Jump. Okay. I just can't play a musical instrument. Um, so if anybody's looking to buy a nice cello, I've got one right here for you. Nice cello, nice bow, music stand, metro, the whole kit and caboodle. I also still have my little Fiat convertible, the 124 1978 Fiat convertible. That's for sale, and the prices come down now, 1,800 bucks, and it's yours. Drive it home. Um, well, I still can't think of what the hell it is I was going to say, but I think it was the point of the whole video I was going to make. I think it was the one. This one I've forgotten. I think was the one thing I wanted to say. And got lost. So anyway, lucky you guys. All right. Well, it seems no one's here. All right. Now he says hello. Two, I'm sorry. Hi. Now you said hello. I didn't see it before. My bad. Really. I didn't see anything there, so now it's kind of a little late. All right. That could have been my fault there. My apologies too. Too serious. Okay. Um, I know what it was. There it is. Okay. I knew it'd come back around so eventually. Um, Crap. Did I just lose it again? Okay. This is embarrassing now. Holy fuck. I think I just lost it again. Ah. Oh my. Oh, what the heck was it? I don't believe it just happened. Honest to God, really, folks, if you could be inside my head right now, I had the idea. It was like on a long circular orbit, like a planet around a star. It came by for a second pass. I went, "Ooh, there it is!" And then as I was saying, "Ooh, there it is," there it went. And when I went back, and I was like, well, "Wait, where'd it go? What was it?" Ah, oh, son of a gun! That's the weirdest thing. Anyway, maybe I have Alzheimer's or something. All right, give me a second here. Let me. Yeah, this video is definitely going to be deleted at some point. Let me mull over this. Okay. Well, it seems to have gone. I don't know where everybody is today. It's Saturday. You guys all just lazy and in bed still? Oh, it's 10:45. Rise and shine. So I've been on here for half an hour now. Hmm. I got it. Okay. Here's the thing. Why, when I talk to theists, right? This is one thing I've just kind of come to realize. I don't, and I think this is true for anybody who's an atheist. There's no reason to spend any time trying to convince a theist that God's not there or that God's not real. I think it's a red herring. And now I know that theists are going to yell and scream and hoot and holler when I say this, but hear me out. The reason is quite simple. Okay, I was a Christian for 25 years. I have known many, 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 many people in my life that were Christians and then later became atheists. Okay, I mean there are stories out there clearly of thousands more, way more than I've met, but still. Here's the point. I don't need to convince you that God doesn't exist. You already know he doesn't exist. Okay? This is my premise, okay? But I think it's a valid one. If I am right and there is no God, right? Let's just suppose I'm either right or wrong, but let's suppose I'm right for a moment. If I'm right, then clearly, except for the very, very, very most deluded people, anybody that claims to be talking to God or praying to God or God talking to them is clearly not being honest. Okay. Now, I think there are several reasons here. I think there are several categories of that. All right. None of them much better than the other, but still, I mean, I clearly think there are people, and I think no one would disagree with me. There clearly are people in Christianity who who have who have absolutely no belief that any of this is real, but it's a great way to make a living, right? Whether it's you're a pastor of a small, and not all pastors, I'm not saying that, but whether you're a pastor of a small church, whether you're a pastor of a mega church, but especially those guys, whether you're a faith healer, whether you're whatever, right? A lot of people simply make a buck off of this. They don't really believe it. Well, of course they say they do. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to make any money as a faith healer if you tell people, "No, I really can't heal you, but let me wave my hands over you and then just give me a couple bucks." Of course, they're going to pretend to believe it, but I don't think they really do. And I think they're fully aware of the fact that they don't. They're making a quick buck at somebody else's naivete. Okay. So that's group one. Those guys are out there. Now in another group, okay, in the middle. Now this is the group that um, has just never thought about it. They've just it's they were raised in the church, whatever. It's a moniker, all of it's a social thing. They don't think about it day to day. They don't minute to minute. They go on Sunday reluctantly most of the time, right? They dress up nice on Christmas, but right, but if you really pin them down, really sat down with them in a room, the vast majority of those people would say, I don't know, maybe he's there, maybe he's not. There's no real commitment there. They don't. It's not important enough to even think about. Okay, just a place you go on Sunday. That's group two. Okay, now group three. Group three are the ones who are truly in pain. This is the group who are good thinkers, good logicians. They know how to make a reasoned argument. They know how to see faults in an argument. They are intelligent, right? And please don't ask me to define intelligence. All right, and I don't want to go round and round, but I do think that sometimes intelligence is sort of like um, um, beautiful piece of music. I can't describe what it's going to take to become a beautiful piece of music to you. I can't give you a specific definition, but I know it when I hear it, and so do you. So there are people that are above the ordinary. These guys are exceptionally smart and are at heart very willing and want to believe things correctly. In other words, they want to get to the bottom of things. They want things to be consistent. They recognize a spin story when they see it. Okay, these are the guys that I think are truly in pain because they're in a religion. Maybe they made an emotional commitment at some point. How they got in there is not important. But now they got friends. They got there's a social arena there, and a lot of times people that are exceptionally intelligent also tend to be um, 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 insecure. I mean, they may come off as arrogant, but I think they're still insecure. Because they've always been on the outside. They've never been, the average kid on the block. They've always been special. And so I think there's a desire there to be accepted and be part of the group, and especially if you can be part of the group in a way that kind of where other people in the group look up to you, not just accept you. So now, hold on. Pardon me, I had a sneeze. So now it's not only that you're in a group that accepts you, but because you're exceptionally intelligent, you're in a group that actually looks up to you in a way you can kind of be a teacher or an instructor, if you will. Okay. So, but these people are the ones that are really in pain because they, of all people, realize this is not true. Or at the very least, they realize there are a lot of things here that just don't make sense, even within their own believers, their own in-group, right? They're like, no, they recognize when somebody is just spinning something or saying something that's not makes sense. They're very keenly aware of it, and it hurts because they want to be part of the group. So a lot of times these people end up just pushing that knowledge down, trying to ignore it because even though they realize that it's probably wrong and it's painful for them that it's wrong, the greater pull here is that now I finally get to be part of the in-group. People finally will listen to me and respect me. And that's unfortunately, sometimes is the stronger draw. So that's group 3. These are the guys that are in pain. Then we have a fourth group, of course. And I think this fourth group, well, there probably are people there that are, just like we have people that are exceptionally smart and keenly aware of logical or rational errors and how to build an argument. Then we have people that are clearly on the other side of that marker of average. They've never really learned how to make a good argument. They've never really learned how to examine a belief. They don't get it. When they try to start thinking abstractly, they don't understand how things really relate together. They're very concrete thinkers. They see what's in front of them, but they can't go beyond that. Okay. So and I can't even say, but at the moment, suppose you're having a discussion with one of them and you say something like, okay, well, let's suppose for the moment that dogs could fly. They immediately stop. They go, well, that's stupid. Dogs can't fly. They don't get the fact that this is an analogy to make it look like something else, so you can kind of see this in a different. They don't get it. You said dogs fly, and they're done. Okay, they can't go there. All right. So there's that. There's this group, and unfortunately, this tends to be, not surprisingly, the most arrogant group in terms of what they know. Well, of course, if you're not bothered by nuance, if you can't see contradictions, if you can't see bad arguments, then no, of course you're going to be confident because the only thing you can see is, whatever is very simple. Okay, so and these are the people. A lot of times, that these are some of the people that you see on Hangouts. Not all of them, but. But these people, do they really know that what they're believing is? No, I don't think they do. I think of all of the group, I think this is the one part that I think I think they lack an ability to reason to such an extent that I wouldn't even call it self-deception. I don't think they need to really put any effort into it at all. These are the conspiracy theorists. These are the people that will believe virtually anything. They just, I don't know, want attention, or they just don't know how to reason or think any better than that. Either they've never been taught, or they lack the capacity, or they're too lazy. One of the three. So there's that group, and that's the group that you always get in arguments with. Not only, but you get in arguments with these people a lot because they're boisterous, they're loud, they're arrogant. They sound, in the first 2 seconds like they actually might know something, and then after you listen to them for 2 minutes, you realize that's not the case. But it's hard to explain it to reason to somebody who lacks the capacity to understand. You can do it as many times as you want. It's like bouncing off concrete. It's not going to help. So there's that group of people. We covered all the people, the groups. I think we have. Yeah, you got the people that are the users at the top of the pecking order. You've got the people who are just, it's a social thing, and they not really given it. They thought they might be capable of doing so, but that's just not their concern at the moment. Then you got the people who are the tortured souls, the ones who are smart enough to recognize that their beliefs are problematic, but are trapped maybe by their own insecurity and need for a social group. They can't leave, and it causes them a great deal of pain. And then you've got the people that who clearly, you know, are either self-deluded or simply don't have the capacity to differentiate a good argument for bad or good evidence for bad. They, maybe some of them could be taught. I don't know. Maybe just lack of education. But I know for certain that there are some that simply just seem to lack the capacity, and they lack the desire. And when I say they lack the desire, I kind of treat that. I mean, I think of that as sort of a lack of capacity. So this notion that you don't want to search anymore, you don't want to examine your ideas, is itself a lack of capacity. I think most people that have the capacity to understand also want to exercise that capacity. So anyway, all of that to say, I don't really feel a need to convince Christians that God's not there, because for any of them that you might reach, I think they clearly already know that. I think the goal should be to find a way to allow them to change a belief that they already recognize is incorrect, but without them losing face. Right? It's kind of the old Japanese thing about losing face, right? And honor and self-respect. They don't want to be seen as somebody who is wrong. So there is no way for them to say, you're right. I think this position is a better one, even if they think it is. When they're at home and the door's closed and no one's watching. We've not provided them a mechanism, and part of the reason for that is because I think our conversations are so adversarial in nature that it clearly puts people on the defensive in a protective mode, and it makes a bad situation worse. I think we need to back off. And when I say back off, I don't mean back off on the truth of what we're saying, but I think back off on the presentation. I think if we really want people to change, we need to give them a space where they can change without feeling like they're going to get hammered to death or ostracized or viewed as idiots. Right. Yeah. Anyway, I think we need to give them that space. I don't know how exactly. I'll leave that to the audience. If you know how to do that, do a video. Let me know. Anyway, no one's here Saturday morning. Anyway, I'm going to go do some work. And then later tonight, trick or treat, guys. We'll see y'all later. Have a nice day. Oh, wait a minute. Let me do one check. I should check for any more questions. Nope, there are none. Okay. Everybody have a good day. Bye.